Oh, you're back! Good heavens, I wasn't expecting this. Or maybe it's your first time. Either way, I'll be gentle and start us off with some basics. Who was Chinggis Khan? This is for those of you who just want to place him in time. First off, which is it? Genghis or Chinggis? The specifics of why we in English say Genghis I will get into later. But for now, know this. In Mongolian, and most other languages actually, his name is pronounced Chinggis, but it has been common in English for quite some time now, possibly from incorrect transliteration, to say Genghis. So while Genghis is acceptable in English, Mongols call him Chinggis, which is how I will be saying it as long as I am making these videos. Chinggis Khan is not his name, in fact, it's a title. This man's birth name was Temujin, and he was born 1162, or 1167, and in fact there are a couple dates argued for his exact year of birth. At any rate, he was born in the 1160s, and died in 1227 Common Era, which for reference means he was born around the same time as King John of England, and was alive and in the process of uniting the Mongol tribes while Richard the Lionheart was on crusade in the 1180s. The Mongols of Chinggis's time, as many still are today, were a nomadic people, their entire lives based around herding with flocks of sheep, goats, yaks, and most importantly, horses. Every Mongol could ride a horse, many literally learning how to ride before they could walk. As nomadism doesn't lend itself well to large-scale forging and blacksmithing, the principal weapon and tool of the Mongols was the composite bow, made of layers in horn and sinew, and was likely one of the deadliest weapons to have existed before gunpowder took hold. The tribes of Mongolia at the time of Chinggis's birth were scattered, separated, and at each other's throats. Mercy was not a trait common of the tribes, and when his father Esugai was assassinated by a rival group when Temujin was only about 9 years old, he, his mother, and his various siblings, including an infant sister, were abandoned by their tribe, left to die on the cold steppe. This was not out of cruelty, but necessity. Without Esugai, the family became a set of mouths to feed that the tribe could ill afford to keep. Taking their possessions and animals, no one would have thought them able to survive the upcoming winter, and the Mongolian winter is one of the harshest there is. But survive they did. If only just. Hard choices were made. When Temujin found out that his older half-brother Bektir was feeding himself at the expense of the others, Temujin and his younger brother Hazar killed him. Temujin would allow no one to stand between him or the survival of his family. The years he spent growing up abandoned forged him into the man he would become, and without the iron will of his mother Harun, the family would likely never have survived that first winter. But survive they did, and eventually other families would come under their protection. Temujin's youth would not be easy. Not long after he killed Bektir, he would be captured by Targutai of the Tachiod, the same man who had led the tribe to abandon Temujin in the first place. After he returned to Borte, the woman he had been arranged to marry before his father's death, she would be captured by the Merkit tribe. When Temujin and his allies Togrul Khan and Jarmuka rescued her, Borte was pregnant, carrying possibly Temujin or a Merkit's child. The paternity of their firstborn Juchi would be forever uncertain. In a series of events which I will go into in detail in future episodes, Temujin would unite the various Mongol tribes through blood and iron, going to war with his blood brother Jarmuka, and one by one conquering the tribes of the steppe until, in 1206, under the title Chinggis Khan, he would proclaim himself emperor of the new Mongol Empire. Under Chinggis, the Mongols would invade China, at that time composed of three major kingdoms, the Xixia, the Jin, and the southern Sung, as well as the kingdom of Dali in Tibet. All would eventually fall to the Mongols. Chinggis would also take his armies through Central Asia and into Iran, annihilating the Khwarezmian Empire in one of the most brutal campaigns the world has ever seen before the 20th century. Chinggis would be returning to China to continue his conquests there when he died in 1227 in his early 70s. Under his successors, the Mongols would conquer China, Korea, most of the Middle East and Russia, and invade India, Europe, Anatolia, Vietnam, Burma, Indonesia, Japan, and even Sakhalin Island off Russia's eastern coast. Essentially, all of Eurasia between Kiev and Korea would be controlled by the Mongols for much of the 13th and 14th centuries. They were fighting knights in Europe and samurai in Japan, neither group having any idea the other existed, the only thing connecting them being the Mongol Empire. This level of international connection, both militarily as well as in trade, politics, and information transmission, would not be seen again until the worldwide European empires of the 18th and 19th centuries and the globalization of the 20th. The infamy of the Mongols lives on as well in all of these countries, and their name is often synonymous with death and destruction on a scale much of the world will not see again until the Second World War. In future episodes, I will go into detail as to how this actually happened. If you were to pick a group of people to go on to conquer most of Asia, it would not have been the Mongols. So how did a nomadic tribe go on to do this? I will cover in detail the campaigns, motivations, personalities, tactics, and strategies, and the reasons for the Mongol Empire, and why it is they went from some innocuous tribe to the most fearsome conquerors in history, and how this ties to the important role of one man and his family, Chinggis Khan.